far away.
Come on up. Don't be
Get
shy.
all huddled together in the front.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Welcome back. You're up.
Come on. Come on. Sorry.
Didn't believe me?
No, I did. I just had to test.
All right, sir. So this is the first time we've done this in Houston. New crowd, new audience. Let's give people a little background on you as an individual and an artist. How did your acting journey start for you?
My acting journey started when I was 6 years old. My mom took me to see Big Brother Bob Emery in Boston. He had a kiddie show. And the blueprint of my career began then. I was scheduled to do the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. And then the producer's little girl bumped me out. My only triumph was she froze. She looked like a stupid statue. Well, so it started there, and then I got into performing in high school as a senior. And then from there I went to college, and then out on the street and auditioning, and I got this role.
Yeah. So what was your audition like? What did they make you do?
They made me figure out their puzzle. The puzzle was, without saying a word, and with a piece of board about this long, that's supposed to be a chainsaw, go intimidate that actress. I thought using the corner of the board, trying to unbutton her blouse would be a good thing. I got a call back on that. And I think they were pretty much decided already, because when my call back was pretty perfunctory with the writer, Kid Carson. And then there was a third one with Toby, and it was just Caroline. Toby wanted to see how she did.
Okay, yeah, we're going in now.
Am I coming? Oh,
Let's try this one.
all right.
Continue.
Thanks.
Caroline.
So, what else? Yeah, so Toby wanted to see Caroline do her stuff, so that was pretty much it. And after she was done, Toby, shook my hand, said, "Okay, Leatherface, let's go." And we started, I think, the next day.
Wow. Hard. I know. Like, my battery keeps falling out.
That's usually the complaints of older people like me.
So what were some of the challenges of playing our Leatherface?
The weather, it was like 125. It was really hard.
And that was in Texas, right?
That was in Texas, inside the underground building. The underground was essentially like a big giant iron box that the sun could heat up for us. So that was hard. And there's a lot of junk in the air. To give you a depth of field, they filled it with this really like baby powder fine stuff called Fuller's Earth, and then some rumble pots with carbon, dioxide going, and then and to finish it off, frankincense sprayed in the air, and then the hairspray. For some reason, they put hairspray on all over me, but it went up into the mask. So my lungs really took a nosedive, and I got pneumonia. I was out for a week.
do they do when you're out? Do they have to stop filming, or?
No, they couldn't. They couldn't. This is really tough. Canon had sold the movie already, and it contracted it for presentation on the screens nationwide in a date coming up very quickly. So they had to keep pressing forward. So there was a scene that I was scheduled for, and they had Bob do it. It was in the bone room with Stretch. So that was, and everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people went down with the flu. Toby was the last one, and so he couldn't finish the movie. It was done by the cinematographer and the second AD. It was a 24-hour marathon, around-the-clock marathon, to get all the pieces they needed before Canon pulled the plug, which they did on the 4th of July, 1986, 10:04 a.m. Scrooge, and that was it. I think it might have ended up with Dan Berenger falling down off of the stairs as Choctaw and rolling into the giant drain pipe leading down to the bowels of hell, which was our home.
And what were some of the delights in playing such a beloved character? Of course, back then you didn't know quite how beloved he would become, but now you do.
The delights was hearing cut, print. That was good. And lunch, that was excellent. And climb out of it and go to makeup. The rest of it was grueling and difficult. It was fun, hanging out with Bill between takes, and of course being on screen together was fun. Mostly it's hard work. It's really hard.
Do you have any fun memories of working with Bill on that set?
Fun and well, we enjoyed a lot. We had a spiral notebook we filled up with scores from Gin Rummy, and he had a little cassette player. And we'd be listening to Creedence Clearwater and Pink Floyd, and singing along, and hoping the hell Toby would use it, because we both spent a lot of time in air conditioning because we couldn't sweat our makeup off. So that was like.
So you guys had it pretty good compared to the rest.
Well,
in that AC.
For a short while. It's like, they'll take it away as soon as they can. So yeah, we were stuck. It's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag.
Do we have any audience questions right now? Anyone at all?
Which questions is the real question? Which question will you ask now?
Don't be shy. I know he looks frightening, but he's really a big teddy bear. We won't tell.
I'm receiving yes in the question. I won't go there in public.
Hey.
That's all I'm receiving right now. Everybody's shut down. Okay, so how many people hated this movie? Okay, that's good so far. How many people liked it? Wonderful. And what was it about that film that fascinated you?
Oh, shout out answers. This is how we turned it on you.
Drastically different than the original.
Oh yeah, drastically different than the original, right? Parallel universe.
It's like somebody that saw the first film and was inspired by it and took a pound of acid, shoved it in her ass, and then
Yeah, I think that was the work process they were going. Toby thought the first movie was a comedy. You know, I was going for humor, but no one seemed to get it.
It has, well, what's the name of it? It has moments in it that is, if you're dark enough, it is humorous.
If you're dark enough.
Especially the cook character, he cracks me up all the time.
Yeah. Good. That's.
And the hitchhiker. It's not really much that's funny about Leatherface in the original film.
Yeah, it was mostly sad. And he sat down on the chair after killing someone, holding his head. I asked, "What's going on, guy?" And he said, "I was thinking, where are all these people coming from?" So,
They were in his home.
yeah, they just barged in.
And they don't put up with that in Texas.
No, you can expect to go into chili fixins if you're trespassing.
Any questions before I go back?
Did you get to keep any of the props from the movie? The chainsaw or outfit or anything?
Did I get to keep any of the props? Well, just all the ones we could steal. That's about it. The mask went to the director. So that's sort of the main prize, I guess, as far as the props went.
Anyone else right now? No? All right, well, Texas Chainsaw is a franchise. It's a pretty beloved franchise and a beloved character amongst horror fans. Are you a horror fan yourself?
Per se, a horror fan, no. I am a fan of well-made movie, and some of them are horror. And, you know, a lot of great horror movies, and some not so great.
Do you have any standout favorites that you like besides your own?
I guess my first one was Frankenstein with Boris Karloff. That really scared me. I was pretty young. It's when he woke up. His eyes opened up. You would never think that Boris Karloff could read the greatest children's stories. Walt Disney had him do an album of fairy tale stories, and it was pretty great. He would act out all the characters. Billy Goat's Gruff. Excellent storytelling.
Okay, so next, I just blanked on what I wanted to say.
Anybody have any comments? Like any questions are out of the question. But, any commentary? If you were, you were adding to the commentary track, what might you add?
That's a good one.
Just
Nothing.
shout out.
We got some shy ones here.
Just act it out. More stabbing? Yeah.
What was it like working with Dennis Hopper?
Working with Dennis Hopper, it was fun, and there's a lot of, God, who is he? I've seen him in so many movies, and he seems weird. He was pretty normal, it's just normal, neuroses, but he was always ready, always had his lines off. He liked to goof around and have fun, and mostly Caroline had the most interaction with him, and he was very generous in working with Caroline, giving her pointers and tips. But he was an excellent director himself, and he assisted Caroline in fine-tuning the little things that really made a difference. Because I thought she was pretty stunning and pretty brilliant in that role. It's tough to be a scream queen and come out a winner at the end, unlike poor Sally from the previous one.
What was it like working with Caroline? Was it the first time you had met her?
Right,
And you
yeah.
knew her already?
First time.
Yeah.
Never met her. She was totally devoted and committed to the process. And I felt a lot of carte blanche to just pull out all the stops and rip and tear. And I thought that made a big difference in the break room where the ice top was waiting for us. Lurking. We're doing questions. If you have any, just shout them out or comments.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, did they do any modifications to the, was it an actual chainsaw, or did they modify it in any way, and did you have to train with it?
To train with the saw, and were they modified in any way? They, now the prop master was Mike Sullivan, and he said there were about 40 total number of saws. A lot of duplicates, in case one cratered, and some duplicates were electrified, like the last one, the last scene where Leatherface gets the saw run through him, and it's twisting and turning, and that's like the arrow through the head.
Yeah.
You know? So that pretty much they were stock. And as far as training, really, I mean, if we were doing trees, definitely want to practice up and sawing a tree down. But other than
But
murder,
people,
it's-
it's
you get
people
close.
on.
Hmm?
People, no training, just.
Yeah. Though a piece of clothing will choke your chainsaw up pretty quickly.
Did you get caught up in it? Is that, you got?
No, they didn't, they had a hard time casting the role of Bubba. They were doing a national search long before the pre-production all over the country, and they still hadn't found when they were doing their pre-production. And I was living in Austin, and they came to Austin, and they ran an audition. I was fortunate enough to be able to secure the role. But it was, it's a crazy journey, riding along with Toby, because there's no getting ahead of him. He's out there, because he goes the crazy way. I mean, how many other directors have tried doing this franchise? And how many stand out above the rest? It's Toby's baby, and getting into his head, most people aren't ready for. I thought Jeff Burr, who did the third one, with Leatherface, understood the material really well. And if you like Jeff's work, his another film of his, Straight into Darkness, I believe is the title, and it has a masked figure in there as well, and it's really a lovely movie. I mean, it's action, adventure, some romance, not much in comedy going on, but it's a fine film. So help out Jeff Burr, get that movie for yourself.
Did you observe Gunner's performance and going into this, or did you go into it kind of with the thought of making it your own?
Both of those. I saw the movie for the first time the night before I auditioned. Being in the theater is sort of like being in a monastery. You just spend all your time there, and home, sleeping and eating, and then going back. So I didn't see much in the way of films. And I was sort of learning stage, live theater. So Leatherface was sort of like the bottom of my list to study. but on that particular occasion. And I, you know, I got the film and I'm going, this is pretty weird and brilliant. And there was no way to copy Gunner. Fortunately, this film, the second one, was sort of in a parallel universe. And I didn't have to be Gunner, I just had to be sort of like him. Younger, it was sort of like an adolescent Gunner, hitting puberty a little bit later in life. And he was leaving the family, and he was going for himself, which everybody's got to leave home sometime. And I think he picked a beautiful bride-to-be, whether she wanted to or not. So he had the right kind of taste.
Any fun stories about Toby?
Well, see, Bill, if you've seen Bill interviewed, he would tell about being on top of LG and smashing his head with the rubber hammer. And Toby he ran about 16 or 17 takes on that. And Bill said, Toby, am I doing anything wrong? He said, no, I'm having a good time. Just keep going.
Did you do that with any of your scenes?
No, he directed off from the side in the ice tub scene. So he was, I guess he was getting everything he needed from that, because it was pretty straightforward, and there was no time to stop and redo stuff. So it turned out real good, though.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, question.
Yeah.
As an actor, what was it like, kind of piggybacking off of your question before, following Gunner in a franchise like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre that came out so much earlier than what the second part 2 did? You had quite a gap of time there. What was it like going into that role to play Leatherface in, dare we say, a new era of horror, as far as, you know, the timeline goes? Was that a little reluctant to do so, or were you excited to kind of dive into something like that?
Oh, I was happy as your proverbial clan.
Okay.
To be in a Hollywood movie.
Right on.
I mean, to be working at all but a Hollywood movie, and then an iconic one. I had no idea how iconic it was.
Well, sure, it wasn't the cult following that it is today at that time.
Yeah, it was already 13 years old when we started filming. So I was definitely happy, and I took my cue from Richard Burton, great stage and film actor. He played Hamlet, 21 different productions of Hamlet. And he said this, whenever I look at that script, I always treat it as a new script and a new character. And that's what I pretty much did here.
Artist work's never done.
Yeah, I just took a look, you know, what's on the page, what's being offered by the writer and the director, and how can we move together through the process of the timeline.
Okay. Cool.
Anyone else out there?
What did you want to see that didn't happen?
I do have another question.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
This is a makeup question, actually, or costuming question.
Costume question.
When Tom Savini did the mask, correct?
Sorry?
Tom Savini did the mask?
Yeah, Tom's crew. John Vulick was, Tom told me that John Vulick, who was on his special effects makeup team at the time, gave him the parameters of what he wanted. And Vulick designed this mask the way we saw it. And, John is no longer with us, unfortunately, but he had won a number of Emmys and other awards for his work. So yeah, so that was essentially the kind of mask story.
Now, was all of that mask, that was made custom fitting for you?
Yeah, they,
Sure.
did you ever go to the dentist and they take a casting of your teeth?
Yeah, they did all your teeth and all
Yeah,
that.
well, they put about 40 pounds of that on top of my face. And then they made, they used that negative impression to do the mask. So the mask fit my face perfectly because it was my face that
Sure.
had made it.
Silicone mask?
But the outside had been beaten up some and redone.
The costume itself, where did that, I guess, the inspiration for the saw that they chose for you to carry in that film and the change of clothes from what leather wore in the original film, was that any part of your say so, or was that strictly predetermined?
Oh, that was predetermined, yeah. That was Kid Carson and Toby. They were going for the yuppie thing.
Well, I know a lot of Gunner's costume was based off of his clothes, they said. Like his boots were his boots that were redone and stuff like that. Wasn't sure if that was kind of a similar case with this or if it was more of a costume department putting the.
Oh, yeah, it was full costume department.
I understand, gotcha.
That was Toby's wife at the time.
Really?
Yeah, Karen Hooper. Karen with an I believe. You know, she had a real good sense of what the style was about. So, that fancy tie was nice.
Anyone else? I can continue. What do you really want to know? Okay, well, I know what I really want to know. Last chance? Okay, I'll come back to y'all. Think of something. Okay, so, I know that your background is in theater. We all know I love theater. Did you always want to move into film? And
I just wanted to work.
work no matter what?
Yeah, gosh. Hoping that film would come along, because I found out that theater doesn't pay. Even if you're on Broadway, unless you're an acknowledged star and you can negotiate a contract for yourself, the screen actor, the equity, right? Equity keeps their margins pretty tight.
And then you moved on and you started teaching theater in colleges, yes?
After I got out of college, our local theater, Zachary Scott Theater Center, I was able to start teaching acting classes there. I taught there for about 75, about 20 years. About 20 years of working with young actors doing different pieces of different plays, doing scene work. The best part I liked was doing a short abbreviation of a full-length piece, so that you can get a sense of the whole idea, and get a sense of stretching into the different characters you have. Yeah, like Spoon River Anthology is a lot of. It's one of the great American stories of a place called Spoon River, and we visit the hill, which is like Boot Hill, and it's a play about those dead people talking about their life and what it was like, and pretty fascinating. You can really get down deep into the bones of the society and the culture in which you were raised, and you hope to escape someday if it's that kind of culture.
And as a teacher, what is the most rewarding part about helping to mold our young artists in the future?
Well, it's for them to get a sense of their own power and their ability to establish a through line of action, and to have some understanding about the depths of the problem it is in the human condition. It's quite a mixed bag being alive, ain't it? And what are you gonna do with that? So, but the theater tends to give us an opportunity to get a look at ourselves. So the rest of the community comes and they watch like the Loud family that they all know real well, do what they do and watch how they get into trouble, get out of trouble, and make things better. Otherwise, it's hard to remember where you're screwed up, you know, and fix it. State-dependent learning sometimes will have that effect. It's all getting a little too funny and intellectual here.
Sorry, I just love you, and I love the theater, and I love hearing about
The
it.
theater.
You know, I could talk theater with this guy all day, every day, and he'll have stories forever. So, you guys better think of some Texas Chainsaw Massacre stories, so I'm gonna keep boring you with musical theater.
I got more.
I've got a lot of questions.
Okay, that's the way to have those questions.
That is a threat. You're
I got
welcome.
more.
Very effective.
Okay. So.
Don't tease me like that, dude.
Playing Leatherface in part 2 compared to even the first one and the third one. We're not going to touch the fourth one and so on. But the first three were, or the first 1 and 3 were very dark and much more gritty and horror based. 2, you obviously have much more, almost a dark comedy feel to it, and much more humor involved in the movie, which I applaud you greatly for doing that. I love dark comedy, but I mean, I think that's awesome how you were able to pull such a gritty, dark character kind of out of that dark corner and make him a little more funny with, you know, body language and, you know, things like body language, you know, doing all of that sorts of type thing. What was your inspiration for that kind of stuff? Or was that something that was pushed onto you from director? Or was that like Toby putting that on you? Or was that more of your own flair, shall we say, your own spice to the character?
The nuances and the general through line of the character. The script seemed pretty obviously funny.
Sure.
You know, satire.
The first one's arguably funny.
But there, Toby and Kit had been collaborating, and from an interview that I'd read, Kit said, well, we figured that we just want to make it very funny and also scary so they wouldn't know what to do. And pretty successful.
Sure. There wasn't much like that around at that time.
Well, the only, I mean, I went,
Dark comedy's huge now, but
Curly Joe from the Stooges, doing some Stooge work with Bill, and Quasimodo from The Hunchback of Notre Dame. That was me and Caroline. We're going to ring that bell together. So that's essentially how the characterization came up. Toby trusted us a lot to just go ahead and improvise what we wanted, and he could always cut what didn't work or tweak it the way he wanted. He was very good at coaching from off camera.
really.
Oh yeah. He understood the actor's process. Not that many directors do. They understand photography and writing, but the actor's process is something that is kind of mysterious, and unless you do it for a while, you start to get a sense of, oh yeah, it's that and this, and sort of like that.
How old were you at the time?
I was 35.
Wow, so that's a lot of trust to give it to an actor at a young age too. That's impressive. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Bill had done his Texas Chainsaw Manicure Massacre, and which Toby had gotten a copy, and that's what got Bill his role.
Okay.
He definitely wanted to see Bill do that.
Ah. See, I'm kind of fed up with each other.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah,
That's
we
cool.
were doing.
I like that. I like that's a better story than than it was directed. I like
I swear I saw another hand somewhere. Did I miss somebody? I did not. Okay, sir.
Still a fan of Iron Butterfly?
I do like Iron Butterfly. and a God of the Vita.
Baby. Right on.
How many remember that half-hour long?
I was gonna say that's like a third of the movie alone. Okay, so what are you focused on working on now, in present day?
Today. I've always been fascinated by theater, but also science. And I've been investigating scientific phenomenon on a particular area of the planet's culture. And I dare say I am the first person, but certainly who's acknowledged publicly, that they have scientifically deduced the capabilities of the most fascinating and misunderstood areas of the globe, and that's at the Giza Plateau in Egypt, where the pyramids are. The pyramids are machines. They create electrified hydrogen plasma product. They make the plasma, they modify it, and then they circulate it into the global electric circuit of the planet. This wasn't made by anybody wearing sandals and wielding copper tools. I don't know who made them. I'm not interested at this time. I'm more interested in what that pyramid complex is about. And it has a relative bearing on the planet because the planet is in trouble. Anyone hasn't noticed that, then get outside a little more often because actually it's coming in through the internet. The solar system is being assaulted by a cyclical wave front of really filthy high energy subatomic particles. And this is like every 11,000 years it circles around. And what we're headed for right now with all the weather disasters and the volcanic activity picking up, all the volcanoes are starting to come back to life. It's because of the sun and its impact on the planet, which everything from the planet has come from the sun. I mean, supposedly we spun off of the sun and eventually evolved to what we're on today. But the planet is undergoing changes that the iron core of the planet is so compressed that it's like a Tootsie Roll Pop. Inside the iron core is another iron core, really, really tight. And it's all under pressure. And the core in the middle and the core on the outside spin at different speeds, and it creates an electrical field that creates a big magnetic field. And this magnetic field is sort of like the Star Trek shields. It stops incoming radiation. Right now, the radiation coming in from the sun has seems increased because the planet is not as strong. The geomagnetic sphere is not as strong as it once was. It's in its pattern of getting weaker. Then the North Pole and the South Pole will go whoop, and when that happens, the surface of the planet slides 90 degrees. So what'll happen is that Greenland will end up near the equator, and the oceans will go over the continents, Actually, the continents kind of spin into the oceans because the water doesn't move as fast as the solid land. So we're going to get drowned a couple of times and then it'll settle down. So that's an extinction event that's coming after us right now. And with this technology at the Giza Plateau, there's a chance to slow it down or even maybe stop it. But it's getting like people can do something about it to pay attention. You know how busy we are in our life. It's hard to fit something extra in. Well, if you're a scientist at the level that could make a difference, you're busy years in advance. So it's hard to get their attention away to something. Pyramids of Giza, another one of those. However, I've studied it so long and I've looked at all the science. The science is already established. It doesn't tell us how, at this time, they moved all this stuff around, all that stone. But the technology that they're showing us, I think that the literal moving giant blocks of stone around will come eventually. But to understand this, you gotta have at least a little engineering knowledge. Yeah.
So, not an engineer, liberal arts major, so I
Yeah.
will not be of any help in this endeavor. I was curious, did your interest in research in this start sort of stemming from concerns about climate change, or did your best interest in climate change come from your pyramid research?
Oh, the pyramid research came from investigation into a new acting class.
Oh, I was expecting more.
A friend of mine, a writing partner, Samuel R. Cox, does stand-up comedy, and he was teaching people to do stand-up for decades. And we were both living in Austin, and we've known each other for a long time, and we wanted to do a new kind of acting class. So we were looking around for different avenues, and I looked at the creative process of Albert Einstein, and his creative process was about as close to theater as he could find. One of his quotes is, if you want your child to be intelligent, read them fairy tales. If you want them to be more intelligent, read them more fairy tales. His approach was that the mind, there's an intuitive mind, and that is what he used to focus his work. Typically, a scientist will come up with an idea and try to find facts that fit it and then run an experiment to prove it. What Einstein did was, he did the experiment in his imagination, and that's how he came up with all his stuff. He said it takes a little longer to do it that way, but it's usually a firmer and more secure process. Now, I use this process as I was looking through YouTube, and I saw the pyramids. I always loved it. And then my mind was grabbed by the big sort of image I was getting from all of those pyramids together. It looked like something I knew. The same sort of thing had been fascinating people for hundreds of, they're almost 5,000 years there. And I'm not sure, it may be older. So this has been capturing the imagination of many people for a long time. And my imagination was captured because of studying Einstein. He said you have to be careful of the sources you put in. But when you get the grab, pay attention to it. And I paid attention to it and I followed it. And that's, so in a sense, I think art majors are kind of scientific because we have to deal with the human condition, the human psyche, the logic of language, and the symbolic nature of the psychology of humans. I mean, there's a lot of science in there. And then the art part is where you know how to do something, but you don't know how you do it. You can just do it. So I think that they work together. Yes, sir.
Were there any moments while filming the film where it was they didn't tell either you or the actors what was going to happen? Where what we see on the film is a genuine, like, either reaction of like fear or any kind of moments like that where it wasn't planned but it made it into the film.
Unplanned moments made it in. I'm not aware of any. At this time, I'm trying to, nothing's coming up. I think you're asking, was anything improvised that ended up staying in the movie?
Yes.
I would say that half of it was improvised. Toby kind of gave us an idea of where to go, and he says, go ahead and, do stuff. Bill said, okay, well, what do you want me to do, Tobe? He said, just do that crazy chopped up stuff. So,
Well, it worked.
yeah, he knew how to communicate it to his actor, so they'd understand. Yeah, Bill's, I mean, he's very intelligent, Yale graduate, so we had a lot of fun talking shop and, being crazy.
That's not all the time we have right now, but thank you, Bill Johnson. Give it up.
Bill Johnson.
Is this complimentary?